So, I want you to introduce yourself to everybody, Nick.
Hi, I'm Nicky McClarty. I'm a survivor of domestic abuse, and I'm doing a podcast with Debbie.
You are. Lovely lady.
I am.
Yeah. So, we will explain kind of, we did do a podcast, didn't we, a couple of months ago, and then the edit were just a disaster, really. But this time we've nailed it. So we had a lot.
It kept pausing and everything.
Yeah, we had a lot of tech issues, didn't we? But I want to just, so recently, you went down to London very recently, didn't you?
Yeah.
A journalist got in contact with me and asked me if I knew any brave survivors of domestic abuse that would tell their story. And I just thought of Nick straight away, just because I know that you want to tell the world about what happened to you, because it's going to help other women.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's not about me. It's about helping everybody else.
Yeah.
And surviving and getting on how I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we've done is, because I've done an interview this morning with ITV's Calendar, and yours was with BBC. And it's after the violence against women and girls strategy that's been released from government. Have you had time to look at that?
Yes.
And what's your views?
I think it's good. I think it's brilliant that they're doing something about it. They're finally listening. But, well, they're going on Christmas leave tomorrow, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, for me, my concerns are that, you know, they've put certain things in place, which I think that the education side of it for school is essential, but my concern is that it should be for all children, and I don't think we should just be aiming this at boys.
No,
I think
exactly
it
that
has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be both, because at the end of the day, we've got to change society's perception on this, and that is getting to the root of where it begins.
Separating them again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
you need to put boys and girls in a room together. You need to get real people, real survivors to come in, obviously trained so that they don't scare the kids. But you need real survivors to come in, talk about it, role play, you know, like get a big assembly together or something. This is what I said yesterday. You need to get a big assembly together in the hall, where, you know, each year, obviously, because you've got to think of the age group, how you're going to be teaching them and that. And have all boys and girls, and have the boys and girls put next to each other, like boy, girl, and then they have to turn and discuss about it. And you can call people up in front of the year and get them to do role plays and ask them what they think of this, what they think of that. You know, what do you think's right? What do you think's wrong? That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
And they have to be normal people. They can't be people all dressed up in suits. No offense to people that dress in suits, but they have to be normal people so the kids can associate with them.
I mean,
does that make sense?
I've been saying for a long time it should have been in curriculum anyway.
Yeah, 100%.
It should have been in there a long, long time ago. So I just think, for me, I'm just like, this should be like education for all, not just for boys. And like you said, like you said, I totally agree. It is going to divide them. And that's my concern, because I think that could this actually make it worse in a sense, because is there going to be that, like, because we know that, you know, it happens from both sides. It's not just,
of course,
you know, we can't just focus on boys and men. It's not right.
That's also making them feel singled out, like, oh, we're expected to be like it. So, some might rebel. They might think, well, you're telling me to do this. Why aren't you talking to her? She hit me in the playground the other day. That's bullying, isn't it? They might get the wrong concept of it and everything.
Yeah.
I seriously, they need to put boy, girl, boy, girl. They need to educate them all together, and they need to get boys and girls to discuss together and like change around and
I
everything.
think
Am I making sense?
they just need to,
Yeah.
they need, for me, it's learning them about respect, boundaries,
Hmm.
recognizing what is a healthy relationship or friendship and what is not. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's a good starting point. But again, I don't agree with it just being focused at boys.
No, not at all.
Um,
And also, if you bring it into schools the way we're saying to bring it into schools, not just boys, if anyone is going through anything at home, young children speak up. They tell the truth, don't
mhm,
they? Um, if we've educated them on something, they'll turn and say, "Well, mummy did this, daddy did this. It's wrong. You told me it was wrong, so I know it's wrong." And then they know it's wrong, and they will come and if they know that if they feel safe enough to come and tell a teacher because they've been taught it, it's going to stop. It's going to stop some, and then eventually, years down the line, it might disappear.
yeah.
I don't know.
I think that it's a massive pledge that they've made, but ultimately for me, it still boils down to consequences of being a perpetrator of domestic abuse. And that be,
Yeah,
it has to be where they need to put real deterrents in place. And, it's like I said to journalists today, for me, they need to put the money in the right places because ultimately,
hmm,
if they put it in the right places to start with, they would save so much further down the line. When you consider it's
yeah,
costing this country over £80 billion a year, you know, is it not a bit of common sense that you invest slightly more than what you're saying
yeah.
to reduce that cost down? Um,
Well, it's like if you're going to build a structured building, you're going to build it properly. If you just chuck it up like they do with the new builds, no offense,
yeah,
but like when they tarmac the roads, they used to dig. Now they just lay a layer over the top, and then they're coming back 6 months later to redo it again.
yeah,
They need to do that with domestic abuse and teaching, but it starts with children.
yeah,
You can even start it with children as young as nursery years, but obviously people will be trained to do it
yeah,
properly. But you can't. You have to do a realist effect as well. You can't just go in being this important person. You have to go in as a real person so the kids can associate with you.
yeah. Do
You
do
know,
you so in your case, do you want to just briefly touch upon what happened?
yeah,
He's actually been let out now, hasn't
yeah.
he?
He probably did about 18 months altogether. He did some on remand, and then when we went to court for the hearing, because he pleaded guilty in the end, he got 6 months, but then he was out in about 3 or 4 months. He was out. He's not living very far away from me either. Yes, he is on the tag, so they have, they've come through with the tag,
Right, okay.
the GPS tag, which I'm happy about. They've put a gas warning on my house. They've set me up with door cameras,
Right,
alarms, which I'm happy about. They have stopped checking on me now, as of yesterday.
right.
Um, but I've got enough support in place and everything like that, and I'm not scared anymore.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just think the justice system is. I mean, the judge. You could tell the judge that you could tell he wanted to give him more, but he was bound. He couldn't give him any more than he did.
yeah,
You know, and they tried playing the insanity card. They tried playing the card that I drove him to it. And the judge completely was like, cut him dead. No, she didn't. No matter what. So if she did this one thing, she deserved to have all that many years done to her. He only pleaded to 2 years worth of coercive abuse and beating, but we've got records going back. I mean, it was 25 years, but we've got records going back like 10, 12 years
yeah,
from schools, from social services, things like. But we never got to have our say in court.
yeah.
So what do you do? You know, he can go and, I mean, fair enough. If he's keeping his head down, I'm happy. You know, I had a lot of hatred for ages. And even when he got out, I had quite a lot of hatred for him. But now I don't hate him anymore. I don't forgive him. I'll never, ever forgive him. But I feel like me holding on to hate is actually dragging
Yeah.
me down
Yeah.
more.
And I
So I've let go.
always say that because I just think at some point you've got to find some peace, and hatred is just a wasted emotion on anybody.
It doesn't affect anyone but yourself.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
doesn't hurt anybody but yourself. But I do understand that people leaving, they go through different
Yeah.
phases of trauma, different phases of
Yeah.
healing. I'm never going to be healed completely. I know that. You know, I've still got PTSD. I still have panic attacks. I hear a noise, I still jump. I make sure I check all the doors I lock.
Yeah.
If I go to the town centre because that's not in the restriction zone, I'm always like looking over my shoulder and things. But I'm not stopping doing it either. I'm not going to stop my life. I'm still getting out there. I'm just living.
So what
What will be, will be.
So what have they put a exclusion zone in place and the tag on him,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
how are they monitoring him with that tag?
I think he's GPS. So if he gets reported that he's been near me or he's breached his conditions, they can go and have a look where he was.
Right.
If, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think they follow him.
So
I don't think it flashes up or anything.
so
I don't know, to be fair.
yeah, so do you know about I told you about the proximity system that we've
Yeah.
been pushing for.
Yes.
It is going to happen, and it's going to happen
Good.
relatively quickly. It's basically the same sort of thing, but he would be monitored 24/7 so that he
That'd be
wouldn't get the
brilliant.
opportunity to breach it.
To step into that
Yeah,
restriction zone,
it,
to even go near it.
exactly. It
Yeah.
would be a third party
Yeah.
that would be alerted that he'd gone over that proximity.
Oh,
So he
wow.
would be automatically arrested. He wouldn't even get the chance to go anywhere near you, Nick. And yours is just a classic, perfect example where this is just like would give you so much peace of mind because he wouldn't even get the
But
chance.
can that come in now? Could that come in now, even though he's been released and he's been put on this
It's
thing
it
that he's on?
it
You know,
has to be piloted.
or is it going forward?
Yeah, it's going for
Yeah, but
yeah, that's the thing.
and what I mean is it going forward with new perpetrators that are released, or can you do it for people that are actually on the other? Oh, what's
So
it called?
they have to pilot
Yeah.
it. So I'm hoping that they're gonna go for South Yorkshire to be one of pilot areas.
Oh,
So they
okay.
have to have so many cases that they can monitor, pilot, and get all the data before they go for a national rollout of it. So
How long do you think that would take?
they reckon probably 18 months.
He'll be off tag by then.
Um,
So the people like in my situation now won't have had that
I've
reassurance.
been campaigning for this for 2.5
I
years.
know, I know, I know you
And
are.
it's we've got all the data's there. It's working in other parts of the world, and we absolutely.
So why is it there and it hasn't been here if it's actually working, you
I
know?
don't know because it took myself and Deborah Alderson, who
Hmm.
is a director at Addressing Domestic Abuse. She was actually a police officer at Northumbria Police for 30 years.
Oh,
And I'd
wow.
contacted Dame Vera Bird, who is the ex-crime commissioner, and I'd sent her my petition, and she said, you need to get in touch with Deborah. So I did. And
Hmm.
then Deborah told me that she'd piloted it in 2014 and it was working. So we'd got a
Ah,
lot of the data around that. And then we've sort of collaborated together and did a presentation to the Ministry of Justice in September.
yeah, I saw.
Yeah, so
Well done.
I did a podcast with Deborah and it explains like how it
I
works.
think I've seen it.
Yeah,
I think I've seen that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's called Call to Action.
Hmm.
And it absolutely needs to be put in place because for me there should never be any reason or excuse for a perpetrator to go near their victim. End of story.
No,
Done.
no.
Arrested straight
No.
away would save police having to investigate. It would save so much on resources. They just have to lock them straight back up if they breach it.
Well, one of my friends who I was in the refuge with, her partner was in prison when I was in the refuge with her when my ex was on remand. He got released 6 months ago. Week later, he was at her house, a new house. He found where she lived. He got arrested, got put back in prison for, I think he got put back in prison for about 11 months, something like that. He came out and he's back in again. He's back in again because he went straight to her house again. Well, so some, bless her, she's had to move every. I mean, her, what she was with him 8 years ago. Well, 8 or 9 years ago. So for 8 or 9 years, he's been in and out of prison because he keeps breaking his conditions and everything. So 8 or 9 years, she's had to move all them times. She's been in and out of refuges. She's been in different houses. She's got 3 kids. So it's just never ending,
And
and he's just going to keep.
do you think do you think
Sorry.
that perpetrator programs can work for them when
Mm,
they're like that? Cause
Not there's different types. There's some people that probably have suffered trauma that don't realise they're doing it because of their trauma, and then there's people that just pure narcissists, maybe.
yeah,
You can make a mistake and learn from it, but I don't think narcissists can,
no,
because they know, or sociopaths, that actual trait. Because I have noticed a pattern. I've been studying body language and personality traits and things like that, and they do tend to have the same pattern.
mm,
They do tend to have the same. Oh, I can't talk. What's it say? Same personality traits and everything, and they just keep coming back and coming back.
yeah,
I mean, touch wood. So far, I haven't heard anything from my perpetrator.
mhm,
Um, so that's a good thing. But I don't know if it's because he's behaving, because he's on license for 12 months, he doesn't want to go back for 18 months, or if he's come out and thought, right, yeah, I'm just going to get on with it. I don't know. But whether he has or not, whether he's reformed, whether he hasn't, whether he's just thought, oh, just let him get on with it, I'm still going to have that over my head no matter what. Even if he did change, I'd always have that over my head, hanging over me.
mm,
I'll always fear noise. I don't trust men. I'm getting there. I'm learning how to. I'm learning.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning. There is some nice people.
Yeah, there
You know
there
what I mean?
is, but it's
Yeah,
difficult, isn't it, to learn to trust again. It's
it is. Yeah.
yeah, it is really hard. But I just think we can't let it define us. I think it's important to recognise signs, obviously. Um, but I do think once you've been through it, you recognise those signs a lot quicker. I'm not saying we
Oh God,
can.
you see it in everyone. You see it everywhere. I'm a people watcher. I'll sit on a bench in the town centre eating my Greggs or something, and I'll just sit there. And I'll like gaze out, and I'll see people going past, and I can just read them. I can see it. I can see it a mile off. I can meet someone, and within 3 seconds, I'll know if they've got the traits. And I know that's wrong, but that's because I've lived it. Do you know what would be a really good idea? Women that actually have been through domestic abuse, once they're out of it and once they're healing and once they're getting this fight that I've got, there's going to be a lot of women that do get to this point. This. They should have this. They should maybe set up a training thing where they can, if they, because a lot of the women that have been in abusive relationships might not have had jobs, might not have had qualifications, especially long-term ones if they were teenagers when they got with them and things. So maybe when they're healed, they help them heal, they get more counselling involved. Maybe they could put them on set up a training course where people like how I am now go out and help people, because there's nothing better than lived experience with a few extras on top, is there?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but it's just popped in my head. But I just think that would be a really good idea, because I have helped so many people in the last couple of months just by talking to them, just by opening up, and because they know I've been through it.
Yeah,
And I'm not all high and mighty, and I'm not in a suit, and I'm not like intimidating. They trust me,
yeah.
so they open up to
Yeah,
me.
and they know
And
they know that you're gonna just get it because you do. And
Yeah,
usually you just can read it like a book, can't you? You can see what's going
you
to
can
happen.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's strange because I did a white ribbon event last week or the week before, and I managed to get loads of men wearing them, which was really
yeah.
good. But another thing as well, some of the men I went to, I'd go up to them, they'd be all happy, and I'd say, "We wear a white ribbon for me." They were like, "Oh yeah, go on then." And then I'd go to give it, and they're like, "What's it for?" And I'd be like, standing up against domestic abuse. And some of the men were like, "Oh no, no, I'm not doing it." So what's that saying?
Mm,
They were willing to take a white ribbon from me and wear it until they actually knew what it was.
strange.
So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And I've also had women come to me and tell me and say like, "Oh, I think I might be in a bit of a controlling relationship," and they'll say, and we'll have a conversation, and then they'll say something, and I'll say, "Well, that's controlling," and they'll be like, "No, it's not. Don't be silly." And I'm like, "No, seriously, that is coercive control. What they're doing to you, they're making you feel how you're feeling." And they're like, "No, don't be silly." And it's not that. And then other people have said, "Yeah, but I don't want to leave him because he'll change. I want to change him." I was that girl. You'll never ever change them while you're in it. You'll never ever change them. Yeah, I'm not saying all men are bad. Some might be behaving, it might be learned behaviour or whatever, but some just, they know what they're doing, but they just think it's right. And it's weird.
What
They think it's right what they're doing, but they know it's wrong, even though, I can't explain it,
what
to be
what
fair.
what examples have you got?
Of what?
Coercive control that people's told you and what you've
Oh,
experienced, just so that
um,
if we've got anybody listening, we
yeah.
that might recognise it's happening to them.
Things like money, taking money. You've got your bank account, they've got their bank account, but they're taking more money from you than what you're putting into the pot, and you're not getting it. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Um, well, in my situation, coercive control, things like making it so that I didn't do anything in the house, to the point where I wasn't allowed to do things because he did everything for me. Whereas at the beginning, it's like, "No, I'll do that. No, I'll do that. Oh, do you want a cup of tea?" Like, "No, I'll do that." And then eventually you just assume they're going to do it and they take control. So then when you do try and go and do what's normal, like making a cup of tea, they're like, "No, I'm making it. Sit down. You're not allowed." And then you end up having to ask if you can do something. Like I used to have to ask if I could have a bath. I could only have a bath when he said I could have a bath. I couldn't just go and run one and get in
mm,
whenever I felt like it.
mm,
If I wanted to brush my teeth more than twice a day, I wouldn't be allowed.
yeah,
Just little things like that.
mm,
Little things like, "No, you're not eating." Oh yeah, you're gonna carry on eating that. Don't you think you've eaten enough? When you're tucking into a really nice pudding or something after your meal or something, and then they're looking at you saying, "Bloody hell, you're eating a lot, aren't you?" You're like, and you just, and then it starts putting doubts in your head. You think, "Oh God, I'm going to get fat." Or they said, "You're going to put some pound on if you keep eating that." That's just little jibes like that, and that women have come to me and said, and I've been like, "Well, that's control," and they've been like, "No, they're just looking out for me." I'm like, "No, you can eat whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want. If they're making you feel bad for eating, for you to put the spoon down and move it out of the way. That's not you doing that. That's them making you do that."
mm.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, I had a lady that came to our building in town the other day, and she'd watched one of the podcasts that I did with another young woman called Nick. Um, and just by watching that, she'd contacted me and came into the building, and we created a care plan for her. And that's really lovely, that they can just by watching this, they can recognize things and then reach out. Because it's
Yeah,
all
but
about
it's
that
even little
awareness.
things. Sorry, yeah, it's things that you would like in my situation. I'd have to sneak to go and eat chocolate bars because I wasn't allowed to eat unless he said I could eat. Um, so things like them taking stuff away from you, things like them destroying your clothes, things like them withholding things from you when it's yours, things like, I don't know, just I can't explain unless you ask me.
Yeah.
I can't.
I mean,
Yeah,
for me, I was, I weren't allowed to watch TV.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
come if I was sat watching any telly, just take the remote control off me and just point blank turn it over or turn it off.
It's
Um,
exactly what he did to me.
yeah,
Yeah,
even down to going at toilet through night. Weren't allowed to flush toilet. Weren't allowed if I'd got up just to go to the toilet. It were like, oh my god! So and I daren't get up.
and then that puts you in the position where you're like, shit, what do I do?
I
Sorry.
used to have more urine
Yeah,
infections than enough just because I daren't get up to go to the toilet.
yeah.
Um, I was coerced and controlled with alcohol, where he would either feed it me or he would withhold it from me, knowing that he was making me dependent on that.
Yeah.
Um, and that were just horrific. Um, it's just like you said, there's some more extreme than others, but it's those little bits that
Still the same
it's that
feelings.
pattern in it. It's that pattern.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just awful. And I won't,
And you don't, they lack of sleep. They keep you awake so you can't sleep. You having a urine infection, you not being able to go to that toilet when you needed a wee. You're not sleeping,
no,
full stop,
no.
because you're in pain.
I would just
You
you
know,
just freeze, don't you? I just like
yeah.
yeah,
I used to sleep like this, just in case he woke up and went like that to me. Just little things like that. Just just little things like that. You just sleeping just so you're protecting yourself a little bit. You shouldn't have to go to bed like that.
no, I know,
You shouldn't have to be scared to go and use the toilet. You shouldn't have to be scared to just be a human being, to be fair.
yeah,
We weren't allowed to sit on the settees. We had to sit on the floor in the living room. We were allowed to sit on the settee at night when the kids had gone to bed and we'd watch a film or whatever together. But then I'd have to get off the settee before we went up. If I fell asleep, I couldn't stay on the settee. He wouldn't leave, I'd have to get off the settee, stand there. He'd have to get all the cushions off, make it perfect before we went to bed. And then when we went to bed, he'd want to have sex, or he'd want me to give him a blowjob, and he expected a blowjob every single day. Every single day. And I didn't want to, but if I didn't want to, then there'd be an argument. So I had to do it, because you're on tenderhooks 24/7. You don't know what mood they're going to be in. They can come in absolutely lovely, have a giggle, have a laugh, go out the room, come back in a completely different person. So you never know how to act. You never know how to think. You can't speak your own mind if something's bothering you. I don't think if he did cheat on me, I didn't find out about it. But people, like, partners go and cheat and they'll come back and they'll turn it round on their partner. They'll turn it round and make it like, well, they'll make them believe that it's their fault that they cheated.
yeah,
If you start accusing your partner of cheating, somehow it'll turn around that you're the bad one. You'll start believing it. And then it'll just disappear. So they can just do whatever they want.
yeah,
Belittle you, like little jokes they make in the street. Say you're with a load of mates, a load of his friends, because you're not allowed friends. It'd take the mick out of you, but in a laughing way, and everybody be laughing at you, then you'd know he was being horrible because he did these little sly things with his eyes or whatever, and then you'd get brave because you've had a drink, which, when you've had a drink, I was really brave when I had a drink, or you just try and play along with it or something, and you start snapping back. And then everybody in that room thinks that there's something wrong with you because they don't understand why you're upset, when you know that he's doing it to be manipulative. And then as soon as you snap, the second you get home, you're screwed. He'll hold it. He'll even hold it for days. And then all of a sudden, snap, he'll come out of it. Why did you do that? Why did you do that when you were with my mates? You embarrassed me. What do you think you're doing? Little things like that. And you'll be waiting. And the longer he makes you wait, the longer, the more you get ill. It's horrible. And then you're tiptoeing around them, and they'll raise their voice, and you'll go like that, and they'll be like, what are you doing? I just got up. I just shouted at the football or something.
Yeah.
Because you're expecting it. You don't know when it's going to come. And then all of a sudden you'll start thinking, oh, well, it's been a couple of days. He's probably forgot about it.
Yep.
And you'll start being happy. You'll be like, oh, because when you're happy with your perpetrator, you feel like a princess, don't you? And then snap, he'll come.
I were never happy with mine. I used to beg him to leave, and he just would not go. It was like he got some sort of sick pleasure out of like just
Oh, yeah.
watching me deteriorate in front of his eyes. And
Yes.
I
Yeah. And the more you cry, the more pleasure they get.
I
Yeah.
don't the only time I used to really get like where I dare say anything brave was in front of other people, because I knew that he wouldn't have dared do anything or say anything in front
Well,
of
that
other
was my,
people.
yeah.
Does that
I
make
made mistakes
sense?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it does. Yeah.
Um
I'd say something in front of people
but then
because I felt
you will, like you say, you would get it after.
I'd get it at home. And he'd be nice to me. He'd be so nice to me. And then in front of the people, like after I'd said something, and then so I'd think, oh, we're okay, we'd go home, we'd have sex. He'd be really, really nice to me and everything. And the next day I'd wake up, something would be destroyed, he'd be standing over me, or we'd get home, he'd completely kick off, and that's when the beatings would start. He'd drag me to the floor, kick me and everything, and then he'd make me sleep on the floor naked. And yeah, but the thing is, he'd push and pull me. One minute he would be so lovely to me, and the next completely. I mean, I remember I cried. I'd say 10 years worth. I must have cried every single day, even on the happiest days. I'd cry every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah.
And I used to say, please, just what? I used to talk to myself. I don't know if I believe in God or not, but I used to just pray to something like, please help me. And
Yeah.
I remember just sitting there rocking.
Yeah.
And then if he was so angry at me, I wasn't allowed to answer back. So I'd scream silently, like, really loud. Like, I'd be loud in my head.
Yeah.
And I'd do the actions, and oh my
You
God.
feel like you're going insane, don't you? Like
You feel like you're
literally.
completely going insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't, nothing. And there's times that I didn't do anything wrong, and he was convinced I did. And he wouldn't stop and stop. No matter how much of the truth I told, he wouldn't stop. So in the end, I'd just have to make a lie up to make him think, to make him stop. But then I'd get even worse because then he'd think, oh, well, you lied to me the whole time and now you would admit it. But there was no win. You can't win. There's no situation with the perpetrator like that you can win, because whatever you do is wrong. No matter what you do is wrong, even when you are right. And even if he's wrong, he's right. There's nothing you can do.
And do you think he could be rehabilitated?
Nah, you can't. Nah, not the things he did to me. You can't do things like that to someone. He thought I was dead.
Did he ever?
And he tried covering it
Did
up.
he ever admit that he'd done something wrong? Because mine never did.
Only when he was on coke. When he was coked up. That was the only time he was nice to me.
Yeah, the cycle though. The nice bit, and then they'd be nasty, and then they'd buy you something. I mean, mine were never like that. Mine was continuously just no remorse whatsoever. It was just a constant circle, never any remorse. Well, that were your fault. You shouldn't have done that, or you shouldn't have said that, or it were always like that.
How long was you with him for?
In total, I were married to him for 7 years. I were with him for 9 years. And
So when did you get to the point where you knew it was wrong?
When he punched me in the face on the first day of...
How long had you been together?
The first night of his honeymoon. We were in Turkey, and he...
Oh my God, so you'd been together 3 years?
Yeah.
Well, so 2 years before that.
Yeah, and he'd broke my cheekbone, and I was just unconscious, and I just remember he hit me that hard that I'd just gone over the back of this sofa, and next thing I just woke up with my 6-month-old son on the bed at side of me crying, and he took my eldest son and tried to tell him that it was, oh yeah, your mum shouldn't have done that, she shouldn't have said that, and all of that. And even then, I woke up on that honeymoon for nearly 2 weeks with my eye out here. I remember waking up and the most horrendous. I felt like my head was going to explode. And I thought, and I remember one of waitresses looking at me and I was crying. And she said to me, "He hit you." And I went, "Oh no, 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 I've fallen." And she just looked at me and I'll never forget. And she just shook her head at me and just like as if to say, "I know that it's him that's done it to you." And I was just like,
What could you do on your honeymoon? What the hell could you do? And it was a shock to you as well. You can't do it. It's
and then I had to come,
fine. What's such a
I
fine?
had to come back home. And by that point, this had started calming down a bit enough for me to cover it with makeup for when I went back to work because I were an hairdresser. And it were, and then it's to get your mask put on. Go on, perform to your audience, put your makeup on, put your mask on.
Mm,
And I'd be like, I would just, that full 2 week, I would just like, oh my God, what have I done? And it was my second marriage, second child. And I just thought, I'm in this situation now and I'm just never going to be able to get out of it. And
no, you
it
don't.
just carried on and carried on and carried on.
Was there any signs in the 2 years before the honeymoon?
Never, not physical, not physical. And there were signs that I didn't pick up on. I
Yeah,
would now, obviously, but I don't.
I
But
know. Yeah,
it was almost like that is you better shut up and put up. It were like that kind of thing, and that were my warning. Start.
and you were probably very insecure at the time because you had an older son, and you were on your own. You meet someone.
Yeah,
I get
I
it.
was
I
single before
understand.
that though
Yeah.
for quite a while, like 6 years. Um,
Oh
uh,
wow, really?
yeah, I was self sufficient. I'd got my own business, my own house, my own car. Um,
Did you fall for him hard, or
I
what was it like when you met him?
I'd already known him. He were already known to me because he was a couple of years above me at school, and I had a little bit of a
Which makes you
crush.
feel safer.
Yeah,
It makes you feel more like, yeah, we've got a connection.
and then
They're from school. They love me at
and
school.
then his sister actually rented a room off me because I had a beauty side attached to my hair salon, and it was
Hmm.
his sister, and he came and built a unit for him, and that's how I recognised him from school, and it kind of went from there. Um, but he, oh yeah, I just used to beg him to leave me alone, and he just never would. He just used to say to me,
No, they
get
don't.
me £10,000 and I'll go." And this amount of money would just keep going up and up and up, or down or up, whatever he decided. And
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Knowing that you
I
can't.
know,
Yeah,
that's it. And
they
it
do.
just went on like that, financially abused. Um,
You beg them, You beg them.
yeah,
You say why. You say why. You get on your knees. I know it sounds silly to people that probably don't understand, but you actually get on your hands and knees and you beg them, please, please, just be nice to me. And they're feeding from that though. That's what you don't realize when you do when you're out of it, obviously, but when you're in it, you don't realize that every single bit of vulnerability you show is feeding them energy,
mm.
feeding them more power. But you don't know that. They go for nice people. They go, even if they don't realize what they're doing, they do. They do it.
I'll tell
They
you
take
what as well,
every
Nick,
single bit of you,
that
babe.
I've kind of noticed and learnt is that there's a massive link between domestic abuse and neurodiverse. Um, yeah, that
Yeah,
I've just got,
ADHD.
yeah, I've just got my diagnosis.
Oh, well done!
I've
Finally,
been waiting 2.5 years, but I finally got
come
it.
on. The second I met you, I
I
knew you had
know,
it.
I know. Well, it's not that obvious,
We
is
were
it? I
like,
know.
we were like,
I
blah, blah, blah,
know,
blah.
I know. But I just needed to know for my validation. Do you know what
I
I mean? I
know.
just needed
That's it. Yeah.
somebody with that was somebody that is trained psychologist has said to me, yes, you have. It didn't take him long to figure it
Look,
out.
you are normal. You're not weird. You've got ADHD.
Yeah, but I love that. I
Which
love
is
that.
normal.
I love that.
I love it
It
too.
makes
It
you,
makes you so different. It makes
yeah,
your heart massive.
yeah,
It makes you say what you think and get in loads of trouble, but actually people are like, wow, she actually said that. I
yeah,
wanted to, but she did it.
yeah.
Honestly,
But I think that
the second I met you, I knew it.
but I think that it's
Sorry, go
kind of
on.
like we are automatically quite vulnerable anyway because we believe everything
Yes,
that we're told.
we believe
We
everything.
we want
Yeah.
to we want to see the good. Um and I just think that we overshare, we wear as hearts on our sleeves, and that
We really have to learn
we
not
are
to.
just like a
Yeah,
massive target for them.
yeah.
Because
We're
that's what they
like big
do.
kids.
Yeah, yeah,
We're like big innocent kids that can't lie, that always tell the truth, that always they put their big foot in it all the time. But the good thing about ADHD as well, if you survive and you learn, you are an expert then.
yeah.
And I know it sounds like, but you are an expert at spotting everything because we see detail in the smallest things that other people might not see.
Mm,
So we will never get done again. We'll never get caught out again.
no,
Obviously, because we're campaigning and we're doing all this as well. So we're learning more as we go along.
yeah,
But if you can get out of a relationship and not continue that cycle, you would become very, very clever at spotting them. And that's why I'm saying about the kids at school. If we can get, people that feel like they've, people that feel like they can do it, that are past a certain healing stage, if we can get them trained up to go out into the community and train and, talk to people about their experiences, I think that would, oh my God, I think they are, that's better than going to university and getting a degree to do it. Do you understand what I mean? I think that,
absolutely.
honestly, because I feel like, I mean, yeah, I've got qualifications, but they're nothing like the qualifications I've got from what I've lived. And what I've got from what I've lived, I've helped so many women
Yeah,
understand things that they never understood.
yeah,
And you can't learn that unless you've actually been through it.
yeah.
So we need to get survivors together to be trained so they know how to deliver things. Because, at first, if you'd have sent me a year ago, I'd have been like, right, you've been,
Yeah,
I'd have really messed it up.
yeah. Well,
Do you know what I mean? But
we've got a training package that we've got for
I
workplace, and
know.
I've mentioned to your aunt that it'd be good to
Yeah,
get you trained up to do some freelancing in that respect.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, Tracy's training me up a lot.
yeah.
And
Well,
obviously, I read an awful
Tracy
lot.
from Voices is one of our
Yeah.
freelancers. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
so it's all about education side of it,
It
isn't
is.
it? The more awareness, the
But
more
adding a bit of
education.
lived experience to it.
Yeah. But that training
And there's
package
so
is,
many women that,
yeah,
yeah, there's so many women that are out there, though, that probably haven't got qualifications because they were kept from having them.
yeah,
Probably haven't got the confidence to go out and work properly, or could afford to go and get a job to support their kids in a new home and everything.
yeah,
They might not know how to look after money because they were never allowed to look after money. So by doing this, they're learning. This is how I'm learning.
yeah.
And this is, I truly believe that, I mean, women that have been through that deserve
Of course they do.
some goodness in life.
When we
And this could be a new job role,
exactly. I mean,
That, yeah,
we create care plans. So when they come to us, we'll
yeah,
tailor that to meet their need at whichever pace they want to go at. So
yeah,
we've got, if they want to go back into education, if they're looking for jobs, we try and help them with the finances. We offer
yeah.
them therapies. We've got EMDR in our building, which is the best therapy ever for
See,
trauma.
the therapy side, I'm still waiting for my therapy from Axis. I'm on a waiting list. I've been waiting for 18
Yeah,
months.
it's about 2.5 years,
Um,
isn't it?
yeah, but it's bad because victims that flee, I swear to God, they need it. They need it full on within 2 weeks. They need the first you know, they need a little time to sort of come down, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then as soon as they come down a bit, they need to be chucked into counselling, not just for 6 weeks, not just for 10 weeks, for months. But that's not happening.
Yeah.
And that is why a lot of people are going back to perpetrators, meeting other men that are like their ex, or women.
They're
Sorry,
going back to the perpetrators, or even worse, taking their own lives simply because
yeah,
they are faced with a system that isn't protecting or supporting them. And this was another one of my
no,
bugbears today when I spoke to the journalist. I said they have to put support in place by funding charities. We're on the front line picking up when other services are failing them, and we're not
yeah,
funded to do that.
100%.
We
For you've done more work doing what you're doing than what the actual services are that are funded to do.
But if we'd got the right funding in place, we could deliver so much. And it is coming. It is
I know.
coming. Because, as you know, I won't stop until it's done.
Nor me.
But
No.
and that's the thing, you see, when you're a survivor, you will always have that fire in your belly. And that's the thing.
Always, if you get past it. But if you've got, listen, I have had so much support from family and friends, from you, from Tracy, from Women's Aid, a lady called Jill from Women's Aid. She's been amazing. She's stopped me from killing myself and things, you know. When I first left, like way before I left properly. So I have had a lot of support. I've got a lot of friends and family around me, but some people haven't. But if we can try and build the support, you know, make it bigger, make it more out there, you know, they don't need to be funding what they're funding. I mean, they do, but they need to be funding more. They need to broaden it. They need to, like, people like you. They need to, you know, and then they can get me, like your little soldier, to go out and help.
Yeah.
You know, and just
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah. But it will come. It will come.
It needs to come now. It needs
The
to come now.
universe will deliver, Nick. I promise you, it will.
Oh, I believe that.
And I
Yeah, I
think
do believe that.
that things, I'm hoping, will get better once this proximity system is put in place, for just for the fact that you're not, you know, you're not having to re-traumatize victims by making them go to a police station trying to prove that an order's been breached.
Yeah.
That's eradicated. You know, she's got
That's
that
why I was
peace of
scared to go
mind.
on trial. Sorry. That's why I was scared to go on trial, because when he'd pleaded guilty, the police officer said to me on the phone, he was lovely and that, don't get me wrong, but he was like, the thing is, if you go to trial, you know, they're gonna interrogate you, they're gonna ask, you know, and what if the jury decide that, well, you know, she's lying. But looking back, because I was really vulnerable, you know, it took building up. Looking back, I think I'd have won.
Mm.
You know, thinking about it now with everything I know as well, and like me not being chucked in the middle of it and all vulnerable and everything. I definitely think.
I think you probably would now, just like,
Mm.
but then.
But the evidence we had, though, no, the evidence that wasn't shown. That if the jury heard the evidence that I had from all the people, I had about 9 witnesses. I had schools behind me, which schools had years worth of incidents, but they were never set out in court. But I when he pleaded guilty, I said, like, okay, then, well, it'd probably be more scary and it might get thrown out because they might believe him.
Mm.
If I'd have had the right support and you know, either way, if my witnesses had come to court, there's no way any jury in the whole world would have let him get away with it.
Mm.
There's no way, because, I mean, I can't say about what we've got, but we've got so much backlogged, so many years of factual things that not only happened to me, but happened to my children, his children, that he loved. You know, no, I don't think so. He controlled them. He might have loved him in his own way, but you don't do that.
No.
You don't do that to the mother, and you don't in front of them, and you don't do that to your own kids. Full stop.
Yeah.
So yeah, no matter what, I know now, looking back, and I regret it, that the jury would have seeing that, and he'd have got years. He'd have got longer than what he got. Maybe not years, because you know what the justice system is like.
Yeah.
But yeah. Can I just ask, how did the government come to the conclusion of what they've put out? Did they ask people like us? Did they ask normal people?
Yeah.
Or did they just do it?
They do
Yeah.
they do to a certain degree. But yeah, they get other organisations in the round table, and they have discussions, and they do listen to survivors.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think a lot of it boils down to money. That's what it is. It boils down
But
to
if
money.
they'd have had a conversation with me and you know, would if they'd have listened, because the thing like the
It's
school thing and that, and
it's
you know, I don't know.
I know, but it's kind of just keep it in the forefront, like the media interviews, the podcasts, the talking about it. We're all doing his own little bit, aren't we, by doing that? But
I know.
I do think better things are coming. I really do. Whether it's enough or not, I'm
Well,
sitting
we'll
on
see in
fence.
6 months' time if they review it. Is
Yeah.
it 6 months? 12 months?
I mean, it's all fine and dandy in it, saying that we can put a new protection order in called a DAPO, which is a domestic abuse protection order. But for me, looking at that from what I've seen, it is basically just a non-molestation order and a stalking protection order put together,
Yeah.
and they've called it a DAPO and made it sound to
I know.
everybody like it's some new kind of
Oh,
order.
it's a big thing coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, really? Well, that's not really going to solve all, because if you choose which order you've got in place, if we've not got officers implementing the law for a start, acting upon breaches, then they can create as many orders
Oh,
as they want.
yeah.
It's all pointless
Well, he
stuff.
breached his bail 3 times until they actually put him away.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
but
they were saying you can stay in this house, it's fine. And I was like, no, he'll come back. And they were like, no, we'll put alarms on and everything. And he had his restriction zone. He wasn't allowed to come down our street. But after a week of me being in a refuge, because I demanded that I get out of that house, even though I loved that house, he was down the street knocking all the doors, looking for me, asking if I'd had men in the house. Yeah, what? Like, he was absolutely, and he wasn't meant to come down the street, and he came down the street, and then he got in touch with my son, sending him a video, and he didn't get done for that. It was only when he sent an email, when I was actually in a family conference meeting, my social worker was sat there, so I sent it to her straight away because she was sat on the table with me. So we called the police. The police came. They asked me to show them the email. I went to show him, and it disappeared on my phone. Somehow he deleted it from his end.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's the only time they went and arrested him. That's when he ended up being on remand.
Yeah.
But is this, you know, if I'd have stayed in that house and believed that they were gonna keep me safe, then he'd have got me. Because he came down that street banging on the door, trying to get all the neighbours to find out where I was and everything, and he got away with it. And he wasn't allowed down the street.
You see, he wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have been able.
I'm
He wouldn't have been able to get near the street if the proximity system were in place. He wouldn't have got there.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, because it had gone off. They'd have known he was
They'd
there.
have arrested him straight away. They wouldn't have needed any evidence because it's automatically there.
But that time that I did leave. He was off his head at that point. Me and my kids thought he was going to kill us. He told my son on the phone that Harry was going to kill me, and that when he did kill me, he'd get away with it because he'd claim insanity. He'd get about 4 years, come out, and then get the kids back. That's what he told my son on the phone. You know, I had my kids, them big, massive computer chairs. I had them I didn't have them. My youngest son dragged it down the stairs and barricaded the front door with it, blocked it so because he was scared of him coming and getting him. That, they don't think that, and nothing that he did to my children was said in court. Nothing. And, oh, do you know what really, mute that. They kept saying Mrs. such and such. They kept like calling me his last name when we weren't married. And they kept calling me his wife. And I wasn't his wife and we weren't married. And they kept saying it over and over in the sentencing. You know, and you can't speak up in court because you get told off. So I had to just sit there and, you know, and he was stood in court looking at the judge, so cocksure of himself, rocking, like thinking he was like, you know, how Liam Gallagher rocks, like, you know, like this. And he just didn't care. And then when he left court, he went like that, as if like, who are you? I'm sorry, it really angers me. It just really angers me.
I know.
And you know, Jill, my IDVA from Women's Age, she wrote to them and said, she's not married to him, stop calling her that. And they say, oh yeah, we'll change her name. They didn't. They're so disorganized, they're so unorganized. They didn't know whether he'd been sectioned or not, and he hadn't been sectioned. He went voluntarily because I actually got him in there because he really needed help. But then every time they were going to let him go, I'd fight for it because he was. I don't think he was diagnosed with mental health problems, but he definitely wasn't right. And also, when he was in the psychiatric ward, I went to visit him, and he took my phone off me, and he wouldn't let me have my phone because obviously he wanted to check who I'd been texting and everything, which I wasn't because I couldn't. Oh my God, I wouldn't dare. The lady, we were sat there, and the lady was asking me what my email address and everything was and what my phone number was, and I didn't know it, and I needed my phone so I could tell her. And I said, can I have my phone back, please? And he actually got it out of his pocket and handed it to me, and the woman didn't even blink an eye that why has he got her phone? You know.
I know.
And when she walked through the door, he was going through my handbag to check to see if I had anything like contraband in there or anything that would get me in trouble. And she walked in while he was doing it in my handbag.
Yeah.
See, people, and I've realised since I've been campaigning and things, I've realised that some people, they generally just don't know about domestic abuse.
I know.
And it's not their fault if they've never lived it.
I know. I know. Do you know what? It never ceases to amaze me how little they're educated around it.
How little known it is to people that haven't, unless you've experienced it or witnessed it, you don't know about it.
Yeah.
It's not out there enough. I mean, it's out there, but it's not. People.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that I've learned that has really shocked me. And another thing, so many people have said to me, "What'd you stay for? Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave?"
I know.
Oh my God. You know, it's not their fault because they don't know because they haven't lived it, they haven't experienced it, which is really good.
Yeah.
But it just really, really angers me.
Yeah.
They don't anger me. It's just it angers me that they don't know.
Yeah.
And they should know. And this is why I go back again. We need to get real people to go to real schools to see real children and teach them from a very, very young age. You don't have to chuck it in their face and tell them, show them like graphical things or anything, but we need to start somewhere. Someone needs to make a plan of how we can go in at different ages and do that.
Yeah.
And not just boys and young men, boys and girls and women and men. Yeah, we need together.
Yeah.
Because then don't separate and bring them all together. Let them talk about it. Let girls speak about their views and boys speak about their views. Bring it together. And then everybody can hear everybody's views rather than being told what these have said, being told what they've said. Oh, girls have said this, boys have said this.
Yeah.
It's all separate. If we're meant to be a community in this world, in different communities and things, if we're meant to be as one human beings and love each other, then we all need to work together. We're not separate.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't separate men from women. That's it. Exactly. Full stop. Yeah.
Right then, my lovely. I'm going to love you and leave you. I'll probably speak to you again.
All right, my lovely.
It'll not be long before I'm speaking to you again, Nick.
I know.
But yeah. So I will love you and leave you, like I said, and we'll catch up soon.
I'll probably text you later.
Yeah.